you doing? I hope you're well. I am Deanna and welcome to my channel. Today I am coming at you with another book haul. I misjudged dates. I thought we were going to just be doing June and July, which is why I've waited till August to post this. However, I forgot I didn't do May. This is a 3-month book haul, so hopefully the fact that there's an extra month thrown in there means you won't judge me for the amount of books that is on this list, because we have 40 plus books. I'm not proud of myself, but it happened. So we'll go themes. So one of the main reasons, or one of the things that blew up my purchases this last 3 months, is that in the first weekend of June I went to the indie Bookworm event that was hosted in the Botanical Gardens by the book booth. I didn't get a VIP ticket, unfortunately, mostly because I bought the ticket too late to the game, but they did have extra tote bags, so they kindly gave me this one. So yes, I was super excited. So I did make some pre-order purchases, which was fantastic because that's essentially like free money, right? And I was having a really bad pain situation. I just had like a medical procedure done a couple of days earlier and I was in bedridden for like 3 days. So this was the first time I was up and out of bed, and I think I was feeling a little extra sad and sorry for myself, so I did purchase a little bit more than I probably should have. So first, not from an author that was attending, but the 1,000 Lives, which is the indie romance bookstore here in Victoria, was the vendor of the event. I couldn't help myself when I saw that they had this beautiful hardcover copy of Revolt by K.A. Knight. Haven't read K.A. Knight just yet, but she is an absolute queen of why choose romances, and this one is her why choose rockstar romance. And yeah, I'm very excited. So this was also the first time I've been meaning to make my way out to the bookstore. So this was the first time I got to interact and try the store. So definitely gonna make my way out that way. My dad lives nearby, so make a trip to see my dad, go visit the bookstore. And yeah, first book I picked up was this. Oh, I should also say, not very good at vlogging, full stop, period, end of sentence, new page. But I did take some B-roll of the events. It was hosted at the Botanical Gardens, and yeah, I had a really fun time. Didn't stay too long, but the damage was well and truly done. The main reason that I did buy tickets to the event was so I could support these two authors, so J.A. Jude and Marzine L. Amorous. Two beautiful ladies met in a Bookstagram engagement group and been to brunch with them. They're absolutely wonderful. So this is both the second book in their series. So this is Beyond Two Realms, which is the second book in Mazine's Between Two Realms series, which is a fantasy romance portal fantasy with fae. And the first book starts off in Melbourne, and I've read the first chapter and loved that our girl Sophie is just hanging around Flinders Street, which is amazing. And then we have J.A. Jude, who writes urban or paranormal romance, and this is set in New York and has basically wolf shifters, and I think there is some kind of like hunter dealio. I love, she designs her own covers, beautiful artwork, and not a why choose, but it is your typical love triangle, which, you know, if done right, I do love a love triangle, and I've just noticed she's included artwork throughout. So this series is high on my August TBR because I did get a review copy of Stargazer. Otherwise, I will probably squeeze it on September, or at the very least, it's going in October's TBR because it's paranormal. All right, I am definitely in my fantasy romance era, to no one's surprise, and I put a pre-order on with Hannah Penford, who is the author of, oh, I've got a bunch of swag, so I'll show you that in a second, of the Crimson Scar series. So I did get the novella, which is Coven of Vampires, first book Crimson Star, and then the second book, The Sapphire Crown. And I believe this follows a woman named Scarlet, who she should never have been born. She's been living in the House of Ravens, which is a race with magic and vampire blood, and she's an outcast and wants nothing more than to escape her life of confinement. There is an announcement of these things called the Hex Trials, which is a deadly competition, and Scarlet's forced to abandon her plans to leave in order to claim one of the prizes because it's the only way she can get medicine to save her sister's life. And I love a magical trial. it sounded paranormally with the vampire. So these are the Seraphine Sisters. So I think the series must be called the Seraphine Sisters. This is Victoria Miller. I'm just obsessed with all this artwork. This is Dimitri and Victoria. We've got Jack Wilde. Yes. Scarlett and Jack. Or this way, whichever way floats your fancy. A bookmark. Then we have Scarlett and Ivy. Another bookmark. Oopsies. Another Scarlett and Jack. Then we have a Scarlett who is giving like vampy vibes, which I love. And then we have another possible Scarlett, and then just QR codes to where to follow her and more character art. So that was an amazing bunch of swag to get, and these sound right up my alley. Maybe I'm slowly going to build up my October TBR. I haven't really read much paranormal romance recently because of the romantasy challenge, so these are going to be high up when I'm in a paranormal mood. And we have another pre-order I put on. Oh, I just noticed in the bag. We have some stickers. I squashed this one, but it says, "My heart is full of books." And then we have, "I'd rather be reading smut." Love that. So then I met Avina St. Graves, who also writes under Zane Schaefer. But anyway, she was there. She was absolutely wonderful. Loved her outfit. And so I bought Death's Obsession, which is under her, Avina St. Graves, which I think is I don't think it's paranormally. I think it's just a straight up stalker romance. Nope, I'm wrong. It's a Grim Reaper romance. Look at the artwork in here. And then I just noticed as I was flicking through, we've got artwork, but they must be writing notes to each other. So there's like little pictures of the notes, and I think that's wonderful. Nice and short one. So I should be able to get through this one really quickly. And I just couldn't pass up this hardcover edition. I picked up Blood Moon Sanctum, which is the first book in A Curse of Obsidian and Silver. And I think this is more of a pharaoh. So it says, "The gods are dead, it's time for the reign of kings. Daughter of the blood moon, they call her. The winner of the war, they say. The princess that will bring back the gods." Aw, she signed it. Map in the world. Our main lady, who is the Princess Davaru, either they want to kill her or they want to marry her, and she is just trying to find the witch that cursed her and stay hidden in plain sight so that the prophecy is never going to come to life. I couldn't pass up this cover and excited to get to this one. I'm going to stop saying that. Just assume I bought it and I'm excited to get to all of them. And then I picked up another dark romance. I'm pretty sure this was a Why Choose, which is why I picked it up. And this is Forget Me Twice by E.J. Campbell. Dark contemporary Why Choose romance. Yep. So 5 years ago, Sebastian Grayson, which is the mayor of this town, caught her with a rare ability and lured her off the streets with a job she couldn't refuse. Because when Sebastian is not, you know, kissing babies and opening hospitals, he runs the underworld and is a gang lord. There is a war brewing and they need to bring in more recruits from the sounds of it. And yeah, this sounds very interesting. We have a very spicy print here, and welcome to the Pantheon. She did have these beautiful hardcovers which kind of were in this style of like the Pantheon. So I am very excited to read this one and see what is happening there. And then I picked up this book, Awakened by R.G. Thomas. I have never picked up a book so quick in my life. It said The White Queen meets Shadowhunters, and I am a massive fan of Philippa Gregory's White Queen series. I love The Wars of the Roses, and I figured if we've got some medieval stuff, this Shadowhunters is a fun time. I just picked it up. Just was like, yep. I read the blurb and I bought it. So Sophia Woodville has an otherworldly secret held close to her heart and was never going to live an ordinary life. She is a 20-year-old nursing graduate. She thought her future was pretty much mapped out. One thing is standing in the way, which is her destiny. She is thrust into the dark and dangerous world hidden in plain sight, a world of angels and demons, of things too terrifying to imagine, and they all want her. Sophia can't simply visit this strange and mysterious world, though. She has to save it due to an ancient prophecy, and I just I think the White Queen thing is coming in because she may be linked to the Woodvilles, which Elizabeth Woodville was the peasant woman who stole Edward IV's heart. And then we got some bookmarks and oops, and it's signed, and it looks like there's quite a few books in the series, so if I like it, I can most likely binge it, which is even better. And last but not least, at the convention, I picked up my pre-order by Elise Hay. So this is the first 3 books in her Something Wicked series. So we have Foul is Fair, Villains by Necessity, and Met by Moonlight. And I am just obsessed with these covers. I can't remember... Signed. They're all signed. I think this is a witchy book. See, this is why I bought these. I'm a simple gal. It says, I like my monsters like my coffee. Strong, hot, and trying not to kill me. So she is done with hunting supernatural criminals and fighting for her life. She's decided for a career change and she's become a social worker for supernaturals. And apparently the last witch in her role was killed by a lycanthrope. So it sounds like from the back here, we have a number. We've got lycanthropes, we have wizards, witches, we may have vampires. So this sounds like it's going to be a very fun time. And again, I have all 3 books so far, so I can do a bit of a binge. We will move on to Fabled books now because they're all looking at me. Now, there's been a bit of a backlog in Fabled. They had some printing errors, distribution errors, so there's been a bit of delay in them coming to me. So it looks like I have ordered a lot, which admittedly I have, but I haven't ordered them all in the last 3 months is what I wanted to tell you. We'll start here. So this is To Crave a Fey Heart by Tessania Odette and was their Fabled Twilight book for February. I recently picked up A Rivalry of Hearts by Tessania Odette and completely loved it, so I'm excited to get to more of her work. And this is the first book in the Fair Isles trilogy, and my understanding is that all her books are set in the same Fae world. So I don't know if they're like all the same tone, but am excited to get to this one. I don't know the details of it, I just know that I really love Tessania's writing and am excited to continue on with this world. And then for the February Fabled Moonlight book, we have Ecstasy Unbound by Seta J, and I'm pretty sure this is a paranormal one, and I think this is an older book as well, which I am liking. I have noticed with the indie book boxes recently that there is a lot of the same authors popping up, a lot of the same books getting special editions, so it is nice to see a book that I'd never heard of. It was written in 2014. So it looks like there are 10 books in this series, and I'm sure they're already all out, and this is the first book in the Guardians of the Realm series. Obsessed with this red foiling and am excited to start a old school paranormal romance series. My memory is horrible, so I think this must be January. Fabled books arrived. So in January I did get the Trinity. So that means I got Fabled Moonlight, Fabled Nights, and Fabled Twilight. So for their Fabled Moonlight book, we got this beautiful edition of By Any Other Name by Kate King. This was my first 5-star read of 2024, and it is a witchy dark academia Romeo and Juliet retelling, which I just completely adored. So when I saw they were doing this beautiful edition, I couldn't help myself and added it to cart. I love the beats and the references to the Shakespeare play, and I love the way that this sits in its own little world. In terms of like magic, it's quite light on. Roman Montague, he actually doesn't use his magic anymore after the death of his sister. His gift from memory was supposed to be able to find objects, and he couldn't find her, and she was killed by a serial killer. And then Etta Capulet, I don't believe, has any real significant magic. So very, very low magic. So it was a lot of fun. And then for Fabled Nights for January, we have Twisted Games, which is the first book in the Filthy Wicked Psycho series by Eva Ashwood. I've heard amazing things about Eva Ashwood's writing, and this is a dark white choose romance, so I knew I had to snap this one up. I mean, but also look at this edition. It is stunning. So it looks like this girl had a really rough life. Her parents died when she was young, and her adoptive mother is a drug addict, and the only way she thinks that she's going to be able to get any money and survive is to sell her virginity to the highest bidder. Apparently some Russian mobster has bought it, and on the night she is meant to get her paycheck, essentially, 3 guys rock up and kill him. So that sounds like a fun time. And then I think they're keeping a very close eye on her so that she keeps her mouth shut. And it is, I think, a trilogy. I'm not really sure, but always excited to try another Why Choose author. And then we have a big book. This is, I was going to show you this, but that doesn't help you. This is Flame and Sparrow by S.M. Gaither, which is, I think, the first, yep, this one is duology. I believe from memory it has gods, and this woman is trying to take down these tyrannical gods, and she ends up being able to sneak her way into the fire gods realm court and is set to bring out this kind of assassination attempt, but ends up falling in love. It is a chunky one, but I'm excited that it's a duology, so, you know, if I enjoy this, there's only one more to read to complete this story. And it came in this stunning slipcase, which I honestly love when Fabled does that. And then, not one of their box books, but one of their special editions, I did pick up Court of Death by K.A. Knight. This is the second book in the Court of Nightmares world, which is supposed to be a Why Choose vampires. And when I saw they were doing a matching edition, I bought it. I think this is only a trilogy, so I'm excited to... Oh, sorry. What the hell, Fable? This is the first time I'm looking through here. And look at these chapter headers. Are you freaking kidding me? Wow. Okay. This is stunning, stunning, stunning. And if it doesn't match the size of the other one, I might just cry. But yeah, this was a vampire Why Choose romance. When she comes of age, she turns out to be quite a very powerful vampy, and she ends up in a Why Choose situation. I think there's like 7 guys, which kind of scares me, but I'm excited to give K.A. Knight a shot. And then finally, the Her Soul to Take series by Harley LaRue finally arrived. So that includes Her Soul to Take, Her Soul for Revenge, and Soul of a Witch. So all I know about these is that these are dark, I forgot about this, dark paranormal witchy demon books. I know the first book follows a girl named Ray, who is I'm pretty sure she's an influencer, like a paranormal investigator, and she rocks up to this small town and accidentally summons a demon. And there is supposed to be some excellent, spicy, good time. And I'm pretty sure this one in particular follows a cult, maybe. Could be wrong. Could be the second book. But when I ordered them, I hadn't yet read Harley LaRue, but their books just sound so up my alley that I just had to grab these. And I've since read them and I love them. So very excited to dive into this series. This is definitely going to be an October binge. A binge, I think. And then lastly, Her Soul to Take is... So yes, very excited that these have finally arrived home safe and sound. And then for special editions, I am a subscriber of Fairyloot's new romantasy box. I haven't read any of the books, so I cannot say whether it is worth my time and money, but I think I will do a vlog later this year where I read them just to determine. I didn't sign up for the first ever book, which was the April box, but I did get myself on the waitlist for the May box because it was a paranormal romance. This is A Curse of Blood and Wolves by Melissa McTernan. And I was a subscriber of Fairyloot many moons ago, and I'm just gonna say they do a wonderful, beautiful edition. And this one's had really mixed reviews, but it is a spicy, apparently very spicy, Little Red Riding retelling, where obviously he is the big bad wolf and she is Little Red, and there may be some stalking elements. But yeah, I do love a paranormal romance. I think a lot of people have a very set idea of what fantasy romance is, so maybe this wasn't necessarily the book for them. But in my head, fantasy romance and paranormal romance are two separate things, so very excited to give this one a shot. Then for their June box, they had Nectar of the Wicked by Ella Fields, which is a fae fantasy romance featuring a changeling girl who makes a bargain with a wicked fae prince to get back to the land of the fae and to find out who she is. But as part of that bargain, she has to marry him. So I love Ella Fields' writing, and I am dying to get to this one. This is another duology, so I was trying to squeeze this into my Pharaoh challenge, but didn't end up doing it. But pretty safe to say I'm going to love this one, and I really hope they do the second book so I can have a matching set. And then their June book is The Wren in the Holly Library, and it has to be one of the prettiest books I own. And this is by K.A. Lind. And we are following a street thief who is trapped in a library with a monster. This man is filled with a terrible power and darkness, and he's well within his rights to kill her. By trespassing, she has broken the fragile treaty and peace between the humans and the monsters. But instead of killing her, Graves does the unexpected and offers her a job. So there's Graves and a cat. And I hear this has dark academia vibes. And there's our little thief. And yeah, similar vibes to the actual cover of the first book, and I'm excited for it. Who doesn't love a library setting? So yes, very excited to add these beautiful additions to my collection, and I'm just hoping that I do love them. Then I picked up Chords and Dreams by L.A. Cannon, which is the third book in her Burn to Rise series, and this is the beautiful, stunning edition done by Euphoric Lit. This quarter was the quarter where I gave up on the notion that I don't own duplicate copies, because apparently I do, of my favorite books. This is following Mark and Chris, who are the guitarist and bass player of German metal band Buried Alive. And while on tour on the Burn to Rise festival, which is this massive like metal festival, think Download, Warped Tour, they find out that they may be in love and that Chris is not as straight as he thought he was, and Mark can finally explore his deep-seated, unrequited feelings. And it is angsty, it is beautiful, it is spicy, and I am so thrilled that it got this beautiful edition. I was the most jazzed about these ombre edges. I clearly don't read things, and this was a surprise. A very welcome surprise. And first one that's not a book box related is Lethal Vows by T.L. Smith and Kaya Carrington Russell. This is the first book in this series. I know that it's a dark romance, that's all I know. It's where a woman has been promised to marry this, I think it's a mafia gang type related, and she kind of ignores his threat, goes about her life, and then he rocks up on her wedding day or around that time and comes in to claim his bride. So this was part of their Kickstarter for this one, and I couldn't help myself, and it has a ribbon bookmark, and I picked up their discreet version, and it has been signed by the pair of them. I think they might have just released the third, or at the very least the second book in this series, so excited to support this author duo. We're moving on to a weird category, which I'm calling Patreon books. So I am a patron of two authors. The first one is Lana Pericek, and I have not one but two special editions of The Castles of Nevers and Nightmares. This is the one for the Patreon book, so it is the same as the standard edition, but I believe we've got the foiling on the cover, and we've got Willow and Fox. And then, because it was stupidly discounted, I think I'm pretty sure we just had to pay for shipping, I got the beautiful edition that she did for signings. And it is this leather, this fabric cover with the foiling. And this is the spin-off series to her, to her Fae Guardian series, where we're following Willow, who is quite angry, has lost her magic, and finds herself in this portal world, the Court of Nightmares, to take part in a competition where whichever human wins a dream. And her dream is to kill the 6 guardians who ruined her life. They are the Fey Devils, or the Slewer, and luckily for her, when she goes into this world, they are, I was going to say gaslighting, but they are moonlighting as Fey nobles in this world, and she ends up getting drafted to their team. And look at me using a sports reference. And she thinks it's the perfect way to seek her revenge. We have dragons in here, but in particular a baby dragon who I just adore and love. And we find out pretty quickly from the Slewer's perspective that they are kind of like this hive mind situation, and they have been tricked by the fairy queen Tatiana, who currently is in a slumber to protect the Court of Dreams from nightmares, and she may have messed with their minds so they don't remember who they are, all except for Fox, so he can look out for their queen and hopefully the woman who will save them all. And this is a why choose, and I'm obsessed with Lana Parachek, but I'm particularly obsessed with this series. It quite possibly is my favorite book of the year, so I'm not mad that I own 2 copies of it. And then for Patreon, I'm also a patron of Katie Robert, and the next book in the Deal with the Demons came through, so this is the Succubus Prize, and I think this one is Sapphic. So that's fun. I really need to catch up to this one. I read The Dragon's Bride when it first came out and then just have stopped. So I might have to wait till all these little novellas are out and I just binge them. And then I got Blood of the Tide, which is a piratey romance. I haven't read Katie in a while, but I do love what she does. I love that she includes, you know, a lot of diversity in characters, body types, races, sexualities. We've got a lot of poly situation happening, and yeah, I am excited to get back into her work. All right, the last stack is just, I was going to say nothing special. There is something special about them, something special about all the books, but these are just standard editions that I have purchased. So first, we've got the Peaches and Honey duology by R. Rhea, which is Peaches and Honey and Pits and Poison. I'm sure you've heard me yap on about this because this is a historical fantasy romance series that I completely adore, and in this we are following a woman named Anna who is alive and well in the 12th century. She has a skin condition which we would know as vitiligo, but due to the lack of knowledge and fear that she is spreading leprosy, she's been run out of her town, and in an act of endless kindness, Anna rescues a beautiful woman from these guards who are chasing her through the forest. Anna shows her to her home, offers her shelter and sanctuary, and is willing to share her meager supplies that she foraged from the forest. And this woman, in awe of Anna's humility and her kindness, offers her a gift, a peach, which granted her immortality. And the beautiful woman turns into a beautiful man and is in fact a shape-shifting god named Kieran, and it is their very beautiful, very slow burn romance across the ages. Now, when I say slow burn, I mean slow burn. They don't get together until the 1920s, so, but it's worth every second. I cried, I laughed, I loved, and the history backdrop was just impeccable. So I will keep it short and sweet, but yes, I did add these 2 books to my collection. And then on Amazon Prime Day, I was very restrained and only picked up A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor by Catherine Moon. This was actually my first ever Why Choose romance, and so I had to buy it. This follows a maid who is considered to be highly sexual and ends up offered if she would like to work at Rooksgrave Manor, which is essentially a Victorian escort service for monsters. And we are following, I believe her name is Esther, as she finds safe space to explore her love of sex and her sexuality, and she ends up with a couple of monsters. There is a lot of steam in here. Catherine Moon does an excellent job. I just love this world, and I do need to read the 3rd book in this series, The Century of Kings. And yeah, I needed to own this because Catherine Moon essentially started me on my pure obsession with Why Choose Romance. So gotta own this one. And then Hachette very kindly sent me The Blackbird Oracle by Deborah Harkness, which is the 5th book in the All Souls trilogy. I am obsessed with the All Souls trilogy. If you want a book which has those paranormal romance vibes that, you know, Twilight gave you, this is the kind of elevated, not in a rude way, but like this is the adult version of that, in terms of not sexual content, but just like overall like world building stuff and things. So in this we're following Diana Bishop, who is a witch who has essentially, after the death of her parents, sworn off magic, and she is a scholar and has got a position at Oxford where she is looking to continue her study and research on alchemy. And while in the Bodleian Library, she calls up a alchemical manuscript, an Ashmold manuscript. The strange thing about that is that that manuscript has been considered to be lost for centuries, and the 3 types of creatures in this world have been endlessly hunting for it, as they all believe it has secrets that their creature needs to know to survive. So we have demons, witches, and vampires, and who comes in to save her from this brewing tension, but a very suave vampire named Matthew de Clermont. And we have time travel in here. The attention to detail and the history elements to this is just on point, and I loved the first 3 books. I do need to read The Times Covenant, which I think is Marcus's book, but it could be Diana's book, I don't know. So yeah, thrilled that Hachette sent me this stunning copy my way. And because I can't go anywhere without buying books, me and my brother did go to Comic-Con, and Beck McMaster was there, and I couldn't help myself but pick up the second book in this series, since I picked up the first and the novella when I met her at Rare a couple of years ago. So this is Crown of Darkness, and it's the second book in her Dark Court Rising series, and I believe this is a dark fantasy romance. I believe it has Hades and Persephone vibes. So yeah, loved it. Loved getting to meet her and having a chat. And she did sign it, I think. Yes. And yeah, I am excited to read more of her work, because I read Thief of Dreams, Court of Dreams, and completely loved it. Writing, her world building is fantastic, so I'm excited to read more of her. So you've seen the Kickstarter editions of The Make Games War by Kayla Rain and Megan. Didn't know that as part of reaching one of their stretch goals, they were going to send the novella. So one of the stretch goals was that they were going to write a novella for the characters in The Make Games War, which was exciting, and I got the ebook. I just wasn't expecting the physical copy to show up. So that was so exciting. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to try and squeeze this onto my August TBR because it counts, it's a sequel. And I really just want to be back in this world and back with Sunday and her men. Speaking of Harley LaRue, I read The Losers Duet earlier this year. It was another 5-star read. Theme of this, one of the themes of this is that I have been trying to collect all the 5-star books I've read this year because I like to own them. So when Jess from the First Chapter Books had part 1 and part 2 back in stock, I had to buy them because the found family element in here is just impeccable. Yes, it is a dark romance, and it starts off very much as this spoiled rich mean girl comes back to her small hometown and is kind of struggling to figure out her place in the world. She gets roped up into the old crowd, and then they, on a drunken dare, break into the losers of their old high school who are just trying to make a living, their mechanics. They break in and start breaking shit, and Jess gets left behind because she has this moment of like, you know, moral awareness, and to pay them back, she ends up into a kind of sexual favor deal situation. And yeah, while that is the premise, I love these characters. I love how chaotic and messy and real they are. I love the dynamic and the way that they can heal and find a safe place to express and be who they are. And yeah, I completely devoured these, and I would reread them 100%. I cannot wait to reread these. So no brainer, had to buy. And then I was part of a tandem collective read along for The Northwind by Alexander Warwick, and thank you so much to Simon & Schuster for sending this copy my way. This is the first book in her The Four Winds series, and in this one we are following the Northwind, who controls winter, and this world also is the death god, for lack of a better word. He is the deity who decides your fate upon your death. And it is following Ren, who lies and tricks her way into becoming the North Wind's bride. Their town of Edgewood has been set into an endless winter, and to protect them, they make a deal, and every 30 years or so sacrifice a bride to help keep the shade up, which is the magical barrier protecting their lands from the Deadlands, so essentially the underworld. And she lies and tricks her way to get there. Borealis, the North Wind, is not all thrilled about that, and it is their romance. And I just loved that Ren is messy, she suffers from alcoholism, she really doesn't know her place outside of protecting her sister, and Borealis is endlessly patient, if not a little short and gruff, and just trying to figure out what makes her tick. And yeah, completely love this. The epilogue is fantastic, and I am dying to get my hands on The West Wind, which is Zerafis' story. If you've read this and you know what happens to Zerafis, I am impatiently waiting for his redemption arc. Also this quarter, I received The Last Lost Girl by Casey L. Bond, which is a dark Peter Pan retelling, which I really enjoyed, and I couldn't help myself. I got this stunning edition. I mean, look at this. And in this world, we are following a girl named Ava, who is an orphan and really just struggling to keep her and her sister Belle alive, which becomes increasingly worse when Belle is unable to help contribute as she's falling into this madness, raving about shadows and second stars to the right and an island named Neverland. And in a fit of madness, one day she ends up propelled back to Neverland and drags Ava with her. We find out very quickly that Peter is not the sweet little boy that we think of the Disney cartoon, and in fact is a monster and has weaponized the Lost Boys. So luckily for Ava, before she is kidnapped by the Lost Boys and taken back to Peter, she ends up in the arms of a dashing pirate with a hook for a hand, and it is incredible. I love the nods and the beats to Peter Pan. The ending is wild, and we don't have a release date for book 2, so I am sad about it, but be sure that when we do get it, I will be picking up a copy straight from Casey, like I did with this one, and we'll be reading it immediately. I did pick up a few books directly from authors because I like to support indie authors, and indie authors are doing some cool, their own like special editions. So in particular, Prisoner by Ivy Ophelia. This beautiful edition is only available on her website, and I am obsessed with it. This is going straight to the top of my October TBR. We have a dark, gothic, Victorian vampire romance where we follow a woman named Alina, who was a botanist and a hobbyist prisoner and has a pastime of killing unsavory men in her own twisted and poetic sense of justice. And all is going well until she comes across a conceited playboy, Salias Forbes, only to find him alive and well in her apothecary the following week. And she discovers that human men might be the least of her problems. And it says here, will Elena and Salias find themselves in each other's arms, or will the shadows of their past keep them apart? And yeah, we've got two killers trying to, they seem to have roped themselves into a situation which they can't get out, and we'll see. It's very dark. And then underneath we do have a not safe for work, well, not safe for work, but a free the nipple version of this beautiful cover. And yeah, bring it on. I'm so excited. And she is currently working on the next book in the series, so very excited for that. And then a book I promise I will not go on too much about, but it is A Rivalry of Hearts by Tessania Odette. Another book that I gave 5 stars and absolutely love. This is a rivals to lovers between two writers. We have Edwina, our romance human author, and we have William Hayworth, our arrogant fae poet. They end up roped on a book tour together through Fairver, which is the fae island of this realm, and The deal is whoever sells the most books on this book tour is going to get a 3-book publishing deal. However, Edwina has rocked up late to the tour due to a series of unfortunate events, is worried that she's not going to be able to beat William because of his raging popularity in the first few stops of the tour. So they make a drunken bet that whoever collects the most amount of intimate bet partners will in fact win the deal. And yeah, absolutely loved it. Picked it up because this edition is stunning. Later this month we will circle back to me eating my words when it comes to not owning duplicates, because I did just buy a beautiful special edition of this. But this is a book series I completely love. We've got Fae, we've got Bridgerton vibes, Regency romance vibes, Steam, and yeah, completely loved it. So that was me not talking about it, but talking about it a lot. A Rivalry of Hearts. I own it now. We are coming up to the final 2 books, and they are both the newest releases of 2 of my favorite series by one of my favorite authors. And I finally picked up Resonant Surge by Nalini Singh, which is the 22nd book in the Psy Changeling series, but it is the 7th book in the spin-off Psy Trinity, which takes place in the Psy Changeling world. Have I read this book? Loved it? Yes. Is this my 3rd copy of this book? Now, before you yell at me, I have the ebook and I have the audiobook, and now I have the paperback. So I first picked up the first 3 or 4 books in the Psy Changeling series as like secondhand copies. So I need to be very particular and I have to wait for the Galance paperback edition to come out, which normally comes out the March after release. So I finally ordered my version of it, but if I don't wait, they don't match and then I get mad about it. So yes, in this one we are back with the bears and can't say much. Love this world, an absolutely fantastic addition to this series. And then last but not least, I picked up Archangel's Lineage, which is the 16th book and the most recent addition to the Guild Hunter series. And I believe in this one we are back with Elena and Raphael. So we've taken a bit of a pause on checking in with them as we've gone around the grounds to some of the other Archangels. So I am excited to be back with them, and I'm excited to be back with this world. This world follows Raphael and Elena are really the central point of this world, and Raphael is the Archangel of New York, and Elena is the Guild Hunter, a vampire bounty hunter, and a fantastic series. Has vampires and angels. There's a bit of a Buffy vibe with the vampire bounty hunters, and excited to dive back into this series. So there you go. There are the 40 plus books that I have adopted in the last 3 months. Down below and let me know what your most recent book purchase is. I'm nosy and would like to know, but it would also make me feel less guilty about buying so many books. Or you can leave me the dagger emoji for Archangel's Lineage. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll be posting new content every Sunday. Linked in the description box below will be links to my social media channels if you'd like to talk to me or follow me on any other corner of the internet. Anyway, that is all from me today, guys. I hope you're doing all kinds of well, and I will speak to you soon. See ya!